Okay, so Jordan, we're just dorks, and we have a lot of fun.
I know.
Okay, great.
I know.
Okay.
The problem with today is I'm an actual fan of the podcast.
Woo! Let's go! Nice.
I know exactly who you are.
Oh, God. I knew this would happen. No, don't put me in a box, man.
Well,
That's right.
great. Then you understand how stressed Tim is right now because it's a Zoom.
It's a Zoom.
Oh, dang.
And every one of the Zooms, Tim, it just gets flustered
I'm
and hot.
So
Like
now
I'm
she's
looking
Tom
at
Thomas.
I'm looking at my the AC thing on my wall going, it's 71. It's so hot right now. I'm dying. I just took my jacket
Oh my
off.
gosh.
That's
My shirt's
70
coming off. It's
71
like,
Fahrenheit. I know
Right.
You probably don't understand those. But
well,
Yeah, 72 is like room temperature, right?
yeah, I mean,
Is
for
that
some
right?
people,
it should be 68 at all times.
I'm
It
thinking-
should be 68.
that's kind of where I sit as well.
That's too cold.
I don't know what that is in the metric system, but
Speaking of the metric system, hey, everybody, welcome. This is Tim Timmons with another 10,000 minute experiment. And to my sweet right,
Ah,
because it's sweet Moy.
all the tears. Yeah.
Right. Sweet Amoy Donis.
That's me.
To my super long haired, it's a new one. I was going to say hot right, hot left,
yeah, I'm
hot
fine
Mike,
with it.
hot left, Christopher Cleveland,
Hey guys,
CC, TT, ED. That's what you are, Amoy Donis.
That is who I am.
those are all initials of our names.
That was all
And then you
correct.
guys, we've got a foreigner with us.
Ugh,
Wow.
great.
Sweet.
Celine Dion, everybody.
That'd be wild.
Jordan St. Cyr.
You got it, man.
Yes.
Woo!
I mean, it is hard kind of having a name that you don't know exactly how to say. I mean, you know how to say
Yeah.
it, thankfully.
Yeah, it's the only name. It's the only name I've had. A lot of people think,
Yeah.
this is like my stage
Stage
name,
name?
and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not that creative, you know.
Yep.
And what does Saint Cyr mean? You know what I mean?
What does it mean?
Thank
Do you
you.
know?
Yeah, it's from what I understand, it's kind of like lordly,
Sounds like you made that up.
Totally. That is so made up.
like
I mean, just
lordly, like shepherd.
Oh, okay.
And so lordly being more like a landowner than like I'm better than you, right? Well, but maybe the landowners thought they were better than people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Back in the
Oof.
day.
No,
So
we're doing so great.
Hey.
I love the shepherd part. Yeah.
Okay, everybody, so we do have Jordan St. Cyr on this episode, and we're diving into how outsiders, aka Canadians, see the American church and what we can learn from their observations, to walking with people in the midst of sorrow, and then our practice this week of awareness for other people's needs, which is huge in this Christmas season, because I'm generally consumed with my own. And then to the parental drama of pulling up to the drive-thru window and no one knows what they want. These are the tough things we're dealing with on this episode. Hey, so if you have not yet, would you rate, like, and subscribe to this podcast? And then it is time for year-end giving. So 10,000 Minutes is a nonprofit, so you can get your tax deductions through giving to 10,000 Minutes. Whether that's a one-time gift, a monthly gift, this is completely supported by you. So if this has been helpful for you, please give. You can go to 10,000minutes.com, and in the upper right-hand corner it says donate. Once again, 10,000minutes.com. Also, if you guys want to get the free text messages or emails, go to 10,000minutes.com as well, and that you'll figure that out. Okay, last thing. Chris, Moy, and myself and the whole 10,000 Minute team are so crazy thankful that you have been journeying with us with 10,000 Minutes and with this podcast. So we just want to say thank you. It is such an honor to do this with you every single week. We truly love you guys, and we're thankful for you. All right, this is one of the last ones for the season, so giddy up. So what do you just call you the shepherd for the rest
Just
of this
call
time?
me Jordan Shepherd.
Jordan the shepherd.
Yeah.
That,
Oh my
that
gosh.
would be your American name, I feel like.
My
Very
American
American.
name.
Yeah, that's very American.
So
Perfect.
is he the third Canadian?
Canadian?
Canadian. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's easier than you think.
Because Elias Dummer, we had the other week. He's a maple person. And then
He
who
is.
else did we have? We had somebody else that was a maple person. We talked about the whole maple,
A maple
stuff.
person.
Maple leaves.
Yep, the Maple Leafs.
Anyways,
Who was that?
Who was that?
Oh,
We've done
boy.
so many of these episodes now.
We are. This is episode 31.
Wow.
Jordan Shepherd.
Wow.
St.
Jordan
Cyr.
Shepherd.
Yeah, so we're really excited. So we know you've been listening since the beginning, and so we just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah.
I actually, pretty close to the beginning. I had to go back for a few episodes.
You
so
did.
I did.
Well,
But I'm grateful to be here.
we're just gonna believe you. But so Jordan and I met. I mean, did we just meet and Chris at the same time? Was that our first hang
I think so.
in Florida?
Oh, no, Chris and I met at a festival.
Yeah, we did. It was right
we
around the
did.
same time this past summer, though. Right?
I feel like Jordan and I actually met 10 years ago. So I think we
did you?
beat. Yeah, we beat you guys. We were.
Oh, wow.
We were at the.
Well, we had
Yeah.
like a really great conversation for like a while. So,
oh, was it cool? Yeah, ours was longer.
It was like
probably.
a one-on-one.
Yeah. So did you guys walk? Is that what you guys did?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my
Man, he
gosh.
shared some. I won't share it here.
pretty intimate things.
Yeah, I won't say it because I don't want to embarrass him. But
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
talked about
He
some
helped,
pretty
he helped me
personal stuff.
through a lot of, personal things I was dealing with at the time.
Yeah.
But do you remember, Jordan, when we talked that we talked about Chris the whole time and just what a dork
It
he
was.
is? Over that?
There's very few immediate conversations when I first meet somebody.
Yeah.
When I met my wife,
Yeah.
we chatted for 6 hours.
Like us.
And then it was
Yeah.
like
Tim.
5.5 for us.
yeah. You're really close.
It was pretty close. It was pretty close. Close second.
Yeah.
Anywho, well, we just want to bring people on here that will make us feel
Stroke the egos.
That's right.
Nice.
That's all this is about at this point.
well. Anywho, just all joking aside, so we got to hang out in the Floridas,
Yeah.
a couple months ago,
Yeah.
and us three
Yeah.
kind of met, really hugged, maybe for the first time. But you see different artists and meet different artists that are coming up or doing whatever they're doing. And it's like, oh, that's sweet. But you're a really great guy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I, not like other people aren't necessarily. You're just an easy read of a really great human.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think I'm in this for the music. I love it. I love to sing. I just don't believe it's my calling in life. I think there's something greater for all of us more than what we do.
Totally.
And I think that when what we do is an overflow of knowing who we are, we don't need what we do.
Yeah. I think I think we're done.
Let's
I think
go there. So who are you, Jordan?
Oh,
St. Cyr?
man.
the shepherd, if that is your real name. I remember we talked about that on our
Yeah,
long
that's
6-hour
right.
conversation. That is such a beautiful thing, and you can see that in people. You can really see that in people, and that was really evident in you. So one of the things, I mean, you're from the Canadas,
the
and we
Canadas,
were talking about Celsius. Do you guys use the Celsius out there?
Absolutely. You guys don't?
No.
Yeah, I do, but
You
I'm
kinda-
a weekend.
Totally do.
You guys kind of go your own way. You would say that, right?
I mean,
kinda go your
is
own
it
way.
kind of arrogant of Americans to just to go, we're doing Fahrenheit. Watch this, suckers. Drop the mic.
it has to be a little.
Pretty
right?
much.
We're the only ones.
Hey, I want to come back to, so help me come back to what he just talked about, because I think it's really genius, but
Okay.
I still want to be dumb for a little bit.
Just a normal Wednesday over here. Yeah. Okay, cool. Got it. I'm going to put a marker right there.
Before we jump in, so being of the Canadian descent, and now you're spending some time here in the Americas. No, I guess you're part of North America, but the United States of the Americas. What do you see? What do you learn? What can we learn? And there might be certain things you're like, nope, not going there. But are there certain things that we can learn from your observation? I mean, Elias has some really interesting observations of Americans when he comes over here, and it's worth learning.
Man, yeah, there's definitely things like there's
Or the American church, or just culture, or whatever.
yeah, it's really weird to see, and again, there's no judgment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you got your own stuff, because we've got a whole list of things we're going to talk about Canadians.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We all have our own stuff. It is odd to see American flags in churches.
Ooh, yeah.
I find that very different only because when we talk about who we are, I think there's a demotion process that happens with the identities the world says are number one. But when we follow Jesus, to put these identities on the same level as our faith in Christ, it doesn't add up to me. And so it's an odd thing to see. And again, don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking patriotism. I'm not knocking love for
a country.
for your country.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful thing, and it's gotten you guys to where you are. But I do find that a little odd. I don't know that it can coexist very well as an outsider looking in.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Preach. What's crazy is, so Elias and I actually went on a walk yesterday, and he said the same thing.
Wow.
He was talking about the American flag. We were actually talking about the Christian flag, and I'm sure we're going to lose a lot of people on what I'm about to say
Pledge
right now.
allegiance to the Christian flag.
Do you know it?
And for the Savior, who's something, it stands one brotherhood, uniting all Christians in service and in love.
No, it's not in love.
That's the one I got.
Gosh, well, the one that...
SBC.
oh, well, I like that.
1989.
The one that I've heard lately, it just says nothing about of love at all in it. It's just like this,
interesting.
like, we are Christians, we're coming to take you over. It's like, oh gosh, but it has
wonder-
that same feeling that Jordan's talking about.
Have you ever heard of the Christian flag, or of like the Pledge Allegiance to the Christian flag?
We just lost 400,000 people.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love it.
You know what? The
No,
Spirit will
thing,
do.
though.
Yeah.
The
Did
Spirit
you
will
ever
do what
get
they
that,
have to
Amoy?
do. They don't have the Spanish translation. I didn't get it. Okay, guys.
I wonder if it's a Baptist thing or if it's like if there's more denominations to it.
I don't know.
This is taking a weird left turn, but like we used to do all of the pledges. We would do the American flag, we would do the Christian flag, and the Bible.
The Bible flag?
Just a straight up Bible, pledge allegiance to the Bible. That's how Christian I was.
You're legit.
I don't know. I mean, you guys will catch up, but
I don't want to catch up.
That's interesting.
It's totally interesting. Okay, so that's really intriguing. Jordan, give us a little bit of background on you as the shepherd.
I mean, born and raised in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, city I think just shy of 1 million people. When I was 5, I moved to this very small community, about 1,200 people. So you knew who went to church and you knew who didn't, right? One of those towns.
Yeah.
I went to a local church here in town, and it was when I was about 15 years old, where my youth pastor was just like, Jordan, we need someone to lead the youth in worship. And I couldn't sing very well, and I think I had one strumming pattern down on the guitar, so every song was the same. But that was such a pivotal moment for me because worship had already become my language to be able to speak to God. And so, I did a couple singer-songwriter projects. I was in a bar band for about 6 years.
Ooh, what was the name of that?
Oh, Red Riot.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That could have gone a lot of ways. Red Riot.
It could go a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So basically what happened is my brothers and 2 of our friends actually joined me on my CD release for one of my solo projects. And so we did that show, and then we just stayed together. And my brothers were like metalheads at the time, like
Red Riot fans.
Pantera. Oh yeah, like heavy stuff. And I loved the melody in the rock landscape. I just loved it. So we were like an LA grunge band. Like we patterned after like Stone Temple Pilots, Audio Slave, Rage Against the Machine, all the way to like Motley Crue. It was an amazing time. We thought we were doing a lot more than we were as a band. But my brothers, when we first started, we didn't get along at all. And if anything came out of that band, we became best friends. After that 6 years, God just used what we thought we were doing for us. He was like, I'm bringing you together.
that's cool.
And so out of that, I did a couple more singer-songwriter releases. And I've been a worship leader this whole time.
Right.
So we were like headlining shows at 1 a.m. and I would, lead worship, get to the church at 7 a.m. kind of thing. And I just felt like I was always the outlier in the band. I was the brother that stayed. I wasn't the prodigal child, right? So I had other issues to deal with, my self-righteousness and my pride. And so, I got to this point where I wasn't connecting with my audience the way I'd hoped to. And these things that really resonated with my heart and the reason for getting into music, I was not singing about. And God kind of just graciously and kindly reminded me of that. And he was like, Jordan, imagine what we could do, with both feet in. All that being said, the Christian music industry terrified me.
Right.
Because I think people terrify me, especially when these quiet times, these moments that I had with God, I never wanted to monetize that or make, you know what I mean? Make my living out of that or somehow leverage those times with him because it just didn't feel right. And I had real issues with the church. I think because I put my faith in people and not Jesus. But as I got older and began to mature a little, I just stopped fighting those battles and realized that as I pressed in with God, he kind of made everything right with people, and he gave me actually more of a love for them than I ever knew possible. So that brought me to about 6 years ago when I was like, okay, I'm gonna sing about the one thing I can't not sing about. And that was just saying the name of Jesus.
Okay, so that story, I love that. I love Red Riot. I'm excited about Red Riot, and
I've already found the...
I'll get you a copy.
Yeah. Please send that over. We'll put that in the show notes.
Absolutely.
I just hear like Red Riot. Like, that should have been a song. You're welcome. You can use that.
That sounds...
Wow.
Chris is full of gifts.
The comeback is already in motion. I love it.
Yeah, when the Shepherd, Jordan Shepherd doesn't work, this Red Riot thing is going to really...
It's going to take off.
Really take off.
Round 2. Guitars are coming back.
But you have, Jordan, you have a sense in you that you have seen sorrow. That story is great, but there's something deeper in you, in your journey, that I'm curious of how you get to this place of going, yeah, it's not all about me, because it's really beautiful in you, and I'm curious about it.
I'll often say, it's not how much you can put out, it's about how much you can take, and in life, when you enter that place of the grind, some of God's greatest blessings are the people around you. And if you'll just engage and allow yourself to engage in their lives and not make it about you, God has a way of using those people to just shape you. And there's been a lot of circumstance in my life where, with my brothers, with my parents, with close friends, where you just kind of gotta embrace that rose with thorns, man, and know that one of God's greatest tools is the pain that we feel. And the pain is not necessarily the bad thing. It's kind of it's like the engine light kicks on, and it's not bad. It's just a warning that, you're going to enter some rough territory here. And if you kind of engage it properly, it's going to serve you very well. I would say, I don't want to say the final nail in the coffin, but like one of the greatest traumas we experienced was with our youngest daughter.
Right.
So she was born 3 years ago, and she was born with a severe brain condition. And like as the dad, as the husband who goes out and provides and brings home the paycheck, and you're a problem solver, right? You see a challenge and you're like, okay, I'm gonna find my way around this. And with our little girl, there was just none of that. And so my identity wrapped up in being that person, it just couldn't survive.
Yeah.
No amount of money, no amount of relationship that I had with anybody. I didn't know some special doctor that could like make this all better. This is a progressive condition, that, unless we have just a full on miracle, it's only getting worse. And so that was a huge blow to my ego, in my flesh,
because you couldn't do anything about it.
I couldn't do it. I was helpless.
Yeah.
And so, the biggest blessing in that is you get to the end of yourself pretty quick.
Yeah.
And all that's left there is God. And so you have, again, a choice then to engage with him in a positive way, or you engage with him in a negative way. I don't think there's any other choice there. And so we just decided to dig in with who he said he is, in his goodness, his kindness, his faithfulness. And that is it's bore so much fruit in our lives, where if we received a miracle today, but we had to give up everything we've learned, we wouldn't do it.
Right.
Which
sounds so asinine, but it's profound. Yeah. So how has this shaped you, or both you guys? So you're married. We met your wife.
Yeah. Married my wife, Heather. We've been married just over 14 years.
Nice.
And phenomenal woman. Just, everything I'm not in the best way.
Yeah, that's what Chris and I said when you walked away. When you guys both walked away.
She's so much better than
She's
him.
so much better than him. Yeah,
She's so much better. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Wow.
Like in every way.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't
It's
a
just
detail
true.
where we were like, oh no, he's got it there. No.
Should Heather be on the podcast? You're thinking.
Well, that's
Why
the
did
funny
we
thing
get
is-
If
this
you
guy?
could call her in.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
probably waiting by the door. Heather?
Yeah.
No, nice.
Can we make that work over Zoom? I don't know if we can.
Oh my gosh.
So 14 years you guys have made out. And then
Pretty much. She's my one makeout person.
I love it. I love it. So then 3 years ago, and how many kids do you have all together?
We've got 4.
Yes, that's
Ooh,
right.
wow.
I remember that.
Never thought we'd have 4, but we've got 4. We planned 50% of them.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So the classic thing that every old person says, you know how that happens, right? I
Yeah.
mean, every time we say you have 4, they're like, you know how that happens. I'm like,
Actually,
really?
no.
Yeah. Could you?
How does it? Like in detail. Please tell me.
Yeah, my parents
I
never
talk
gave me birds
I
and
talk about
bees.
my family all the time from the stage. And then there's always 1 or 2 people who come up to you after and are like, I've got 8 kids. You know,
It's
it's a nice
so
try.
true.
You know, it's like this isn't a competition. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time I say, God, it feels like I've got 20 kids, but there's really 4. And somebody always comes up. You're so right. And says, well, I have 15. You're
Yeah.
like, well, you're awesome.
I make this joke. I'm like, anybody have more than 2 kids out there? And people raise their hands. And I said, so you know the third one you don't care as much about? You just say, keep up, and keep going. And so I kind of make a whole joke about it. And so I get the same thing. So if they come up to me and like, I got 7, I was like, well, you don't care about them either, do you?
Yeah.
Keep up.
Yeah. That's your bit.
Oh my
It is.
gosh.
It's my bit. I say it in jest.
So once again, Americans are really straightforward.
Yeah. Jeez.
So good.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
I kid.
It's a joke.
Yeah. You're an idiot. It's a joke. That's just a joke. Don't take it personally.
Yeah, right.
It's a joke.
Love
Canceled.
it. No, come on, man.
Okay. So in year 11, all this
Yeah.
stuff happens with you guys. How does that shape you as Jordan, and how does that shape your wife in
Yeah.
the context of seeing Jesus in the midst of it all?
Yeah. I mean, we were broken, man. We were like, we only knew 3 healthy kids. And when we experienced this for the first time,
Right.
oh my gosh, we were still joyful, oddly, like joyful for this amazing little girl, but we had no idea what she was about to teach us. Early on in our relationship, like when we first met, like when I was talking about, my self-righteousness and my pride, that was like what I worked out, in our first years. And my wife had, kind of her stuff to work out. And we really battled, and we learned that the one key to a successful marriage, which was what we were shooting for when we met, was just to be willing. To be willing to be wrong, to be willing to be broken, to be willing to, put her above my own needs, kind of thing. And so that kind of created a foundation for this moment in our life. I truly believe that, people tell us all the time, oh, the stats of a marriage falling apart after having a child with a chronic illness. And it's like, no, I don't know those stats, and I don't really need to know those stats because I never once questioned our marriage through this process. It's given our marriage teeth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like we are dug in with each other just so much more now. There was like a depth that we hadn't experienced, where it's like, this is truly the one I'm going to battle with every single time. So our marriage is stronger than ever. She's the one person that knows who I am, on this earth. And we wouldn't do it any other way. My relationship with God in Jesus is just, I've realized the gate is so darn narrow to Christ, but the depth.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Give us examples.
I think it's narrow because the world teaches us self-preservation. And when we try and do that, it's kind of opposite to who Jesus is. He took his life out of the equation, and he's showing us the way in that. And so I just feel like when we are able to lay our lives down, that's when we enter relationship with him. And then he just takes us to the depths. It's kind of like, when I got married, I believed everything that I said on that day,
Yeah.
on my wedding day. All those vows were true. But did I really know them? Did I know the depth of what I was saying? Absolutely not. We're 14 years in, and I'm realizing I'm never going to understand how deep this goes. And I think it's the same with Christ. It's like you say, yes, you're the one I want to follow. And then you just spend the rest of your life just infinitely going deeper in relationship with him. And I think this experience with our little girl, Emery, it was just like, he was just showing us the way down, into his heart, into who he is, showing us what compassion truly is, how to serve people in their struggle who are in need. Yeah.
How did people serve you that you're like, oh gosh, that was a game changer?
They didn't ask what we needed. Like the people that knew, and they were just like, here's a coffee gift card. Hey, I'm going to go mow your yard. Just don't want you to have to worry about that. Hey, we're going to watch your kids tonight. Just let us know when we can come over. It's almost like they knew the weight of the things they could bear because they couldn't take the weight of the things God was asking us to bear. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like all those daily chores that are still on your brain as you're walking through this, as you're living in the hospital, as you're, taking another ambulance ride back to the hospital.
Right.
People would just fill in the gaps. And I think that's truly what compassion is. It's, it's suffering alongside people. Mm-hmm. And you do that by just literally walking alongside them, And I don't know you can truly understand that till you've been through it yourself.
That was one of my questions. Is these people, most of these people that kind of portrayed this for you were bared with you, if you will, like a stick bears to a plant and holds it up.
That's right.
Were these people, if you kind of look at them, were most of them people that have had some kind of struggle?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There were people that we do not have deep relationship with that we knew. We knew of them, but we weren't close at all. Mm-hmm. And they just came out of the woodwork because they had been through stuff.
Yeah.
They've lived weeks on end in the hospital.
Yeah.
They knew what we needed. Yeah.
Gosh, there's such an eye-opening invitation there. That's every day. You said it earlier, but it's just awareness really that I forget in a lot of my weeks, a lot of my days. I just forget to be aware of the needs of others because there's so much going on in my life right now that I try to be aware, but that's not like a practice that I've been doing, which maybe could be our practice this week, is just how to be so aware of what's going on in somebody else's life instead of my own.
I think that is the mission. If we're not busy in that, what are we busy with?
Me. I mean, truly. I mean, I'm
truly. I don't really ascribe to like a life verse or like a word.
Yeah.
That's not really my thing. But when I think about my relationship with God and the commandment Jesus gave of just love, Matthew 22, 37, 39, love God with everything you have, your heart, your soul, your mind. And then Jesus says, this is my greatest commandment. And he goes on to say, love your neighbor as yourself. This commandment is like the first. Like I'm very competitive, or I used to be very competitive as a younger person. I played a lot of sports, and I'm like, if that's the greatest, that's the greatest, right? Jesus said that's the greatest. What does that mean? And how do I make my life about that?
I am so consumed and fully aware of all my needs and all of my struggles and my worries, etc. So what would it look like this week as we join Jesus in our week, right? What would it look like if we practiced being aware of the needs and struggles of others around us? I mean, as I write this X on my wrist this week, that's what I want to focus in on. What are the needs and the struggles and the worries of the people around me, and how do I just love people well? Who might that be for you this week? Think about tomorrow. Who are the people that you are going to walk alongside tomorrow? Jesus, open our eyes. whether we use this or not, that would be my practice this week. Would be trying to be more aware of people. Is there a season when you've been more aware of other people? So right now you're still in the season, which you guys need stuff all the time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Is there a practice or some way that you've been able to join Jesus in that for other people? Or is it still kind of one of those seasons that you're like, nope, it's a lot about what we're doing right now. And thankfully we're the ones being supported and served.
I think it's just keeping your eyes open, keeping your ears open. Are you willing to stop on the side of the road when somebody needs a tire change? You know, are you willing to talk with that person who takes all your oxygen away from you at the merch table? And are you willing to lead through that moment? You know, in that moment, they're the least of these.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think it comes down to a willingness to realize, for me, again, this is a responsibility I feel for me. I don't want to put this on anybody else.
Yeah.
But I just feel the weight of responsibility to make this moment about them, to be a good listener. And
it kind of reminds me of what you were talking about in the very beginning. I was trying to remember exactly what it was something about him. It's not about the music. It wasn't about being famous or something. It was.
Yeah, it's about just finding our identity in who God says we are rather than what we do. And so many of us dream chasers, people that want something so desperately to come true, we don't realize that we're actually gaining our identity through that. And I think if we're going to claim Jesus as the one we follow, those things get demoted. And so we need to take on the identity that he gives us.
Yeah, and I think there's something there, because when you were saying that right at the very beginning of this, it just made me think about somebody who's doing the laundry right now. Somebody who is driving somewhere right now, somebody who's doing the lawn right now. I mean, it's like all these really, in our context, we are musicians and we're going and doing these things, which seems like, ooh, that's ministry. But I think what I heard from you is almost like, well, whoever's doing whatever they're doing right now, that in a sense is your ministry. It's like 100%. Just being present to the identity that you have. And I love that. I think it's really a beautiful invitation. I mean, that being the bigger invitation, people think pastors or artists are the ones that are really doing the work of God. It's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, because you know what? This whole music thing for myself could easily just be taken away.
Yeah.
Right? It's not solid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so inconsistent. You're basing your whole career on whether people think it's good or not.
Right.
So you could very well put out something that they say is no good, and then you have no work.
Right.
But does that mean I now don't have a calling on my life?
Right. So good, Jordan.
Absolutely not.
So good.
I couldn't agree more. That resonates so deeply with me. Like wherever you're at, we talk about a lot doing things for God, where this is like God is present with you right now. So start living with him, and doing those things with him out of the overflow of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. That's such a great reminder. And I love any time that this stuff can go beyond just the, I'm putting in big old quotes, ministry thing of like, well, the artist has this or the pastor has this or it's like, nope, you're a mom that is doing mounds and mounds of laundry right now. And who are you regardless of what you're doing right now? Like we all have this ministry, this mission in just loving people well.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah. I think if all I was a good husband and a present father, I will have done enough. So I think everything else is extra.
Well, good thing you're talking to Chris on that. That's really great.
I know. I just feel like he needs to hear this.
Yeah, thanks.
I do.
Yeah.
Every day.
Jordan and I talked about it earlier.
You did?
He said, what does Chris need
It was
today?
a pre-podcast podcast.
Yeah. Jordan, you're
sir.
single right now as the weary traveler.
Yes.
And we're not even going to talk about it at all.
No.
But congrats.
Done deal.
You've got, because it's around Christmas time, you've got a single out called Rejoice.
Yeah.
So people go listen to these things. They're really great. You also have a record coming out in 2022 called Hot Guy, Canadians, called The
So what
Shepherd.
was that?
Your new record coming out?
Okay.
Called The Shepherd.
The Shepherd. It's a self-titled album, but it's
Exactly. That's
obviously,
what I mean. Jordan the Shepherd.
my
That's right.
goodness.
So that comes out in 2022. If you guys are listening to this in 2022, then go check it out. Jordan, we've got 10,000 thoughts for you right now.
Let's go.
Okay.
Literally, they're thoughts for you that we want to talk about, things that we've seen about you.
Couple notes.
Yeah, no, when Chris and I traveled together the other week, I finished my set and he came up and he said, well, how'd you think it went? I'm like, it was fine. He said, well, I've got notes for you. So he gave me a whole extensive thing of notes, which...
Next night, it was,
Was it better?
it was so good.
Different set of notes.
Yeah.
So much better.
This sucked. But Tim, you were really up there. Okay,
Yeah.
Jordan, 10,000 thoughts. Quickest
All right.
answer you can muster.
All right, man.
Okay? I'm going to breathe. Ready? Nickname.
Jordash.
Jordash.
Jordash. I thought you said DoorDash for a second, but Jordash. Like jeans?
Like the jeans, yeah.
Like back in the day when I was
Yeah.
a kid. Jordash.
Okay, bucket list.
Bucket list. Oh gosh, just see more of the world. Want to go to Australia, Japan, Europe, all the things, but in a capacity that I like seeing things, but I want to meet new people, see what they're about.
Okay. All right. I like that. Okay. Pet peeve or pet peeves.
Oh, pet peeve. Getting through the drive-through and my wife and kids don't know what they want to order every time.
Oh,
Every time.
This is now the second person that said that
At
same thing.
least.
Bart said
No.
it first.
At
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
I said it in my mind.
Yeah.
Chris is
Listen,
like,
what
yeah.
about this one is the one that gets me. After you get your food, they're like, oh, they forgot the ketchup.
Oh, and then
I'm
you
like,
got to go inside.
I'm not waiting here and tell them to open the thing back.
Yeah.
I'm not driving around.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll go to the
Yeah.
store and buy ketchup.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
we are not
Why don't
doing
we
this
keep
here.
ketchup in the car?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey, do you guys have fast food out there in Canada?
We have a few, yeah. Yeah, we've got the McDonald's, the Burger King.
Do they have the same
We've got
things on the menu, or do you guys
Ooh, do
Yeah,
they
we
have,
got
like,
a lot of the same.
do you?
The
Yeah,
maple
it's like
burger?
the Canadian, the maple burger.
McMaple?
gosh.
The McMaple.
Oh my gosh.
Swish.
That's our mascot.
Okay.
was
That's officially our
Favorite movie
mascot.
or favorite movies?
I'm a big movie person. I mean, Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, I'm sorry. These need to be
classic.
Christian films.
These needs to be Christian films.
No, I'm kidding.
So
Okay,
Shawshank Redemption.
Preferably Kirk Cameron starring.
Okay,
Kirk Cameron?
Go.
Oh, my gosh.
Shawshank. Go. Give me two more.
I loved Green Book.
Yep.
I just thought that was a phenomenal movie.
Yep.
Oh man, this is tough.
Yeah, the Green
Have you
Lantern.
guys seen Dune yet?
No, I've not seen it yet, but it's on your
no
list.
Spoilers. No spoilers, please.
It's on your
It's
list.
already. I don't like seeing movies in the theaters twice. I don't. It's
Did
not
you
my
read the
thing.
books and stuff?
I've seen it twice.
Oh.
I have not read the books.
Okay.
I'm more of an audiobook listener.
Ooh, yeah.
I've heard two
Kinda
things
guy.
about it. I've heard that one, it's the greatest sci-fi film ever made, and two, that it is just setting up the second one.
Oh yeah,
That's right,
It's
yes.
So which makes me
it's
not
a
wanna see it.
beautiful unfolding. There's a lot of action, but there's a lot of like just storytelling.
All right, who dies?
No,
Who dies?
no. Please,
How do they die?
No.
Go. Okay.
You'll get an
Just
extra
kidding.
mug.
That's actually-
Don't
Yeah.
spoil it.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the best song you didn't write other than one of ours?
Clocks by Coldplay.
Ooh.
That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Biggest regret.
Biggest regret.
Yep. The speed round.
Probably holding my dreams too tightly when I was younger.
Ooh.
And
That's a good
realizing-
one.
Yeah.
Realizing that it's just not the thing.
Pause
you
well
know?
taken.
Total
Yeah.
pause well taken. We're keeping that pause in too. That was strong. Do you know a joke? Can you tell a joke that's somewhat appropriate?
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Little old lady.
Oh boy.
Little old lady who
I didn't know you could yodel.
Nice.
to hell with the devil. That hurt my feelings.
I felt like it was gonna be something like that.
Did you
That's
know-
why- That's why I gave it a little pitch.
Yes.
You
I
gave a
heard
little
it.
nod there.
You knew
Yeah.
you knew it.
I
You
didn't
knew
know it, but I felt like it was coming.
I walked right into it.
Like an intuition thing.
Well,
But we talked a lot before, and so I kind of get him.
he told you that joke earlier.
No, we just understand each
Yes.
other. Like kinda,
Gosh, you've spent so much time together.
yeah, it's just a thing that we've got.
Jordan St. Cyr, the shepherd.
That's right.
You have now just finished your first podcast with the 10,000 minute experiment.
Come on. Thank you guys. I love this. I love chatting. I love to hear your heart. Like it's beautiful. So thank you for what you do. I'm a fan.
Yeah, man. We'll send you our notes on how you did here in a little bit. We generally spend a little time
You're
doing
gonna
that.
grade my paper?
Yep. That's
pretty good.
Yep. Good job.
It's pretty good.
You look great.
Not bad.
Yeah.